Good. They're a good football team for sure. You can see why they've had the success they have. They are very talented and very well coached. Play hard. They're a good football team for sure.
What do you think they're best at in terms of defensively, Coach? When they are at their best, what are they doing well?
Well, they're not letting you score. I mean, they're sixth in the nation in scoring. So top 10, sixth in scoring, fifth in fewest TDs, fourth in yards allowed, fifth in tackles for loss, third in rush TDs allowed, 12th in first downs a game, third in red zone touchdown percentage. I mean, they're good. They got good numbers, and they aren't fake. That's all on tape.
Is Dirk Koetter the best defensive player you've seen this year?
Yeah, he's really talented. I mean, he's going to. I think most people got him as a top 5 pick, and that certainly wouldn't be surprising. You can really see that his linebacker training, where he played off the ball a year ago, and now he's playing on the ball. Although they move him around, the guy can really cover ground. He's got a real nice spin move. He closes on the quarterback. He can turn the corner, and he's not their only good rusher. They have more than one.
Because of your NFL background, when you watch film, do you notice guys and think, okay, there's like 6 guys on this defense that could play in the NFL? I mean, is this an NFL defense in terms of some individual talent?
Sure. I mean, they should have NFL talent. It's Penn State. I mean, they recruit at the highest level, and they play in one of the top conferences. Yeah, they definitely have. They recruit guys that think they have a future in the NFL, and it shows up. They got them.
I'm sure when you decided to come back this year, being able to chance, this was the goal, obviously, get to the playoff. But you've obviously coached, done a lot of great things in your career. But what's it mean to be a part of this staff and be coaching in this game to get this team to where they're at?
Yeah, no, it's definitely as the year went on, and we knew we were going to have a good football team, and after the close loss at Oregon, as Coach D has said many times, we've been in playoff mode ever since then, because we knew, even though we were trying to win the conference and get to the conference championship, get to a bowl game, of course, we knew that we had a chance if we could run off a bunch of wins. We definitely had no room to lose a game. The players were aware of it. Obviously, the media. Make sure everybody's aware of it in a good way. I mean, it's the first time it's added a lot to college football, and for the little guys to have a chance. And as the year went on, between the academies and UNLV and different teams that had a chance to get in there, and slowly but surely it narrowed down. So it's very cool for these players. It's awesome for our fans. It's awesome for everybody involved with it.
The 2 games that Penn State lost, what gave them trouble?
They played other really good teams. They played really good teams. Let's face it. All of us saw Oregon firsthand, and that was a close game. I mean, that went right down to the wire. I think Dylan Gabriel's probably the best quarterback in the country, and I think he's perfect for what Oregon does on offense. So Oregon ran a lot of tempo against them, ran a lot of unbalanced sets, where they had everybody on one side. I'm not necessarily saying that is what gave them trouble. I'm just saying that's what Oregon did. And Oregon does that to everybody. But, Oregon is one of the teams that can match Penn State's speed. Penn State has excellent speed on defense. Oregon, as we know, has excellent speed. In the Ohio State game, Ohio State just played a real solid game, and I think Ohio State matches up with them good physically. I'm talking the part I watch, Ohio State's offense versus Penn State's defense. That was more of a power game, a little bit less of a speed game. Ohio State didn't make mistakes. Ohio State did a decent job running the ball. They did it when they needed to, in the situations where they needed to run it. 4-minute offense, for example, they did a good job running it. But they're the 2 teams that beat them. They were close games, and they were good teams that beat them.
Dirk, when you have a common opponent like with Oregon, Can you look at those games and directly compare and, help you prepare? Or is it just two completely different games?
No, you can. You can. I think the fact that we played them so far apart, we played, that seems like a year and a half ago when we played Oregon, and they just played them in the conference championship game. I think all three, Oregon definitely changed throughout the year. We changed a little bit throughout the year. Penn State, some players get better, some players get injured, et cetera. But yeah, I think that's a good comparison. We're always looking for that in normal weeks. It's strange where you only have, you just have that one game that common opponent. That's a little bit different, because you have so many common opponents. But definitely something I think that helps.
What do you think the rest has meant to Ashton? He's having 3 weeks off or whatever.
Yeah, I think you guys are making too big a deal over that. That's just my opinion. You asked me, I told you.
What's advantageous about having all that time off, other than maybe healing physically?
No, I don't think there is probably. I think most teams this time of the year that are playing well, which I think if you're winning games, you're playing well. I think most teams that are playing well would rather play than rest. I mean, the time off scares me more than I think it helps us, with a couple of exceptions. There's a couple of guys injury-wise. Mason Randolph, for example, that if we wouldn't have had the time off, we probably wouldn't have had a chance to get him back.
What is it about the downtime? Is it just getting out of a rhythm? Or?
Yeah, you don't, going against your scout team every day is different than going against any real team, let alone a team that's as good as Penn State. I mean, so the speed difference, and then, just time off. It's been a really good schedule that Coach Danielson put together, as far as, giving guys time off for Christmas, giving guys enough time to get their bodies back. But yeah, that's just me personally. I'd rather keep playing, but that's just me.
In the SMU game, they obviously had some self-inflicted wounds on some of the turnovers and stuff. You guys have been very good this year taking care of the ball, not having any of those just game-changing kind of turnovers. What has allowed Maddox and this offense, knock on wood, I guess, to take care of the ball so well this year?
Well, Bill Parcells is famous for saying that more games are lost than won, and I'm a big believer in that statement. And SMU did a lot to lose the game, and even though Penn State, you could make a very good argument that Penn State forced them into some of those errors, but we have done a good job in that area, and Mad Dog in particular has done a really good job in that area. That's one of the reasons he's our starting quarterback, is he takes care of the football. He doesn't beat us. He doesn't get us beat. Any player, but a quarterback touches it every play. Quarterback doesn't always need to win the game, but he also can't lose the game for you. And unfortunately, SMU's quarterback did a lot to lose that game last week. And I know that guy's a fine player with a very bright future, but that was not pretty. It just wasn't.
What is it about Maddox? It doesn't matter who he's playing. He's been very, very, very consistent this year. And I know you love the fact that he's this winner, but what is it in his DNA that just makes him so consistent? And going into a game like this where you don't expect him to be consistent, but his track record says he has been.
Yeah, that's just think back over time, over the best quarterbacks that you've seen. That's what they are. I mean, the best guys are that. They're consistent, and the best guys, the best quarterbacks make players around them better. They magnify other players' talents. The best quarterbacks make the plays in the critical moments that need to be made. I got to watch on Christmas Day. Got to watch two of the best in the world. I mean, you see Mahomes and Lamar Jackson with those two guys. Those are two guys that can win the game for you. But there's just not a lot of those guys out there. I mean, that's the exception more so than the rule.
What stands out to you about Max Cuthbert?
Max, very sharp. Just solid, good pocket passer. Will stand in there and take a hit and deliver the ball. For a backup quarterback, especially a guy that's been a 3 most of the year, but whether you're college or the NFL, unless you're playing your third guy on scout team, which we don't, we play our fourth guy on scout team, that third guy gets like no reps other than down there in the end zone when we're doing drills during special teams. So for a second or third quarterback to be able to function in a game without the benefit of reps, that's what you're looking for, because not all quarterbacks can do that either. I mean, there's a lot of guys that they can function pretty well in a game, but they need the practice reps. So I'm real confident that if Max, his number's called, that he will go in there and do fine.
Would you consider maybe giving Max more QB2 reps than you typically would, just because he's been the 3 all year?
Yeah, definitely. We've definitely been doing that. For sure. We've been making it a point to get him as many reps as possible. So as far as going back to the original thing about the time off, there's a guy that definitely would benefit from extra practices, or has benefited.
Has he kind of embraced it? I mean, I'm assuming in a way it's exciting for him too, right?
Well, if the guy's any good, he's sitting there thinking I should have been there all along. So I'm sure Max is thinking I'm just getting a chance to show it, and he's been doing a nice job.
You talk about doing this for 42 years. Before that, you were a player. I'm sure you've thought about this 0% of the time, but is there any chance today is your last ever press conference?
I did think about that, actually, just a few minutes ago. I said, I might be going to my last ever press conference, and, man, how will I ever be able to survive? Will life go on? That is a question for us all to ponder today.
What goes through your mind, though? I mean, you got a game to win, and eventually you'll have plenty of time to think about that stuff. What did go through your mind then?
Yeah, just that. No, this might be it. I hope it's not. I hope we keep going for a while, and I know our players believe in what we're doing, and I know they're going to go down there and give it their best shot. But other than that, I'm not giving it too much thought. I've done enough press conferences. I'm perfectly satisfied with my press conference career.
Do you ever remember your first one?
I know. No, I
senior
don't.
in high school or anything?
I don't. You even said I was a player at one time. I don't even remember that.
I mean, you're obviously trying to win. Nothing really changes. But in terms of, there's been some talk of, hey, in the past, the Fiesta Bowl was the last game. Now, if you win, you do get to keep going. I mean, how different is that? Maybe as the week goes on, that'll start to feel different.
Yeah, that's really a strange feeling, because typically at a bowl game, I was just looking at our, we got a master calendar of we got everything planned down to the minute, of course. And, in a normal bowl game, you come back, if you're a coach and you come back on the plane, it's the coaches' families, and the 5 local players on your team, and the rest of the plane is empty, because people scatter. It's usually, it's Christmas break, school doesn't start up, but everybody's got to come back. Everybody's got to come back on the charter because hopefully we're still rolling. There's just different things like that. It's hard to plan your life past the 31st. I really do want to watch that Texas-Arizona State game on the 1st, though, if I can swing that somehow.
I don't want you to take this question too seriously, but how many variations of the Statue of Liberty do you have down?
Yeah, you're about the 500th person that's asked me that. And if you call Ashton right and Ashton left, if you just change the word to statue right, statue left, then we have, let's see, he averages, 32 carries a game. I guess we got 32 variations of it.
When you kind of look back on the history, that is part of like the
very cool
flair down there. What do you kind of make of some of those, whether it be statue or fake punts or whatever it might be in the Fiesta Bowl from the past?
One thing that's crazy is I was living in Arizona at the time of that game, and I went to practice a day or two before that game. I went to practice. It was I think at one of the baseball fields in Scottsdale, and or maybe it was at Scottsdale Community College. It was somewhere in there. And I remember that day I was at practice, I said to myself, man, they got a lot of trick plays in the game plan. And then I went to the game, and they hit like every one of them. Every one of them hit. I mean, Harsh kept calling them, and they kept working. So I remember that part about it. But, yeah, that is definitely a part of Boise State history. But I think the main part of that is the good guys came out on top.
Why is that for you? You haven't called a ton of trick plays this year. I mean, you're just more of a beat them with what you're good at, or what's kind of your philosophy on that?
Yeah, it's just weird. I was at one time I was a trick play guy as much as anybody, but I think the NFL kind of humbles you on that a little bit, especially Ben Johnson's doing a good job with them right now in Detroit, but I think especially when you're maybe with a lesser team and you see how good those defenses are, and you're trying to you just don't have many plays to give up. And everybody talks about the trick plays that work, and they show those a lot on the highlight shows. They don't show those ones that don't work as often.
What do you think?
From the start of the season and now, where do you think the offense has been most?
Most improved, well, I would say one thing that jumps out to me is the depth in the O-line. And no teams have depth in the O-line. We were forced to develop depth. I think that bodes very well for the future. I know every team in the country in the portal right now is looking for O-linemen, and if we're fortunate enough to hold on to all these guys that played and the depth that we developed, I think that bodes well for the future. And then, just due to the fact that we had a little bit of a revolving door behind Ashton at the backup running back, I think developing depth at running back, the emergence of Wagner as a second tight end who could be a first tight end for a lot of teams, and how Matt Lauder has, we all knew that he was a blocker, but he's had a good year receiving. Maddox Madsen, no one except for me in this room thought Mad Dog was going to be a good college quarterback, and I think you're pretty set at that position for the next couple of years as well.
You mentioned Penn State's pass rush. You go back to the Oregon game, Cage Casey played pretty well in that game. How much will a guy like him be tested in this contest?
Yeah, he will, because Cage is a really good player, and Cage can play on that level. And we ask a lot out of Cage. We very rarely help Cage. We help the right side a lot, and a lot of teams in the NFL do that as well, where they help a certain guy, and if you're a left tackle in the NFL and you're a starting left tackle in the NFL, you're on the island a lot. And Cage plays that role for us. He plays it well.
What's been the best part of his game? I remember going back to fall camp, and he said, Ben Dooley taught him to bring around a notebook, but instead of overwhelming yourself by filling it up, it's really specific things to work on each and every day.
Cage is very specific on the things that he works on, and Cage is extremely soft-spoken. He lets his actions do his talking for him, and I'd say that. I still remember 2 years ago when I came back, the first couple games that Cage went in, and I remember specifically I was on the sideline that year, and Cage was getting ready to go in a game, and he had a look of terror on his face, and I asked him right in the huddle, "Are you scared right now to go in?" And I said it kiddingly, and Cage just has a quiet confidence about himself. I think he's really improved in the run game. His athleticism and his ability to block the edge as a pass protector has always been there, but he really takes pride in his run game now. And playing next to Ben Dooley, those two side by side, they've done a really nice job for us.
Hey, Dirk, if this is your last press conference, Genty in the NFL, type of career you think he's going to have? What are you going to tell Arthur Blank when he calls you and says, "Should I take this kid?"
Ashton's going to do just fine for himself wherever he ends up. He's going to do just fine. The running back is making a comeback. There's teams running the ball well right now, and Ashton's going to make some team very happy.
Is there a player on offense that's revealed from the beginning of the season what you thought he was going to be to what he is today? Is there a guy that? Well,
Mad Dog for sure. I spend the most time with him. I've spent the most time with him over the last couple of years, and there's plenty of good stories out there. But I spend the most time around him, and he would be my easy answer there.
Let's go to Zoom real fast. Alex, just call out whoever.
Yep, Colton Poole, got a question, go for it.
Yeah, thanks for the time. Talk about Maddox. You talk about his consistency and ability to limit turnovers. What is it about his sort of off-field approach that has allowed him to be successful in those areas so young in his career?
That's a good question. I don't know if I could just narrow it down. Maddox studies the tape. He is he's really good when it comes to how he can see something on tape, make note of it in his notebook or his iPad, and remember it in a game when it's time to remember it. and not everybody can do that. I'd say that's something. I mean, I don't want to say the guy's got a photographic memory because I think he just got a B in science, but the guy's sharp, and being smart and being able to apply what you know in the exact moment that you need to know it. That's what great ones have, and he's not there yet as far as being a great one, but he's come a long ways.
Joe Smeltzer, you're next.
Appreciate the time today, Dirk. So you talked about Dirk Koetter and Penn State's pass rush from the interior of Penn State's defensive line. What have been your takeaways watching them on film? And overall, would you say this is the best D-line you guys have faced up to this point here?
Yeah, I'd say this is the best D-line. They're right there with Oregon, and it's just been a long time since I've studied Oregon. But they're right there. I mean, just right off the top. First off, I think they have 4 defensive ends. Penn State has 4 defensive ends who I think could start for almost every team. 11, 33, 92, 15. And they play them a lot. They play all 4 of those guys. They like to play 3 at a time on pass downs. But the guy, I can't see my glasses too well, but without my glasses, but 28 inside, man, I would like to be that guy's agent. Converted high school running back. He plays defensive tackle for him. He's got a crazy combination of quickness and power. And I think that guy is very disruptive on the inside. So, yeah, we know we have our hands full with that front, and they've wreaked havoc on plenty of teams, and that's going to be a big key to the game is if we can neutralize that front.
Boustro, you're next.
There we go, Dirk. Just a couple questions on Maddox. Obviously we know he's a guy who is not going to be afraid of any challenge he faces. How important is that when you get into a postseason game like this?
Yeah, I don't think any of our guys will be afraid of the challenge. I mean, that's one thing. The way Coach Danielson approaches it with our guys, it won't be. We know we're playing a really good football team. We know we have to play our best, but it won't be because we're afraid of the moment. I mean, that's one thing that players at Boise State, they'll be ready to answer the bell. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't mean anything to the scoreboard, but you don't have to worry about us being afraid of the moment.
Well, just with Alex in particular, he's a guy, who you mentioned, kind of he's been accurate this year. He's been not turning the ball over. Is that, back when you were working with him 2 years ago during his redshirt year, did you realize how great he could be at that point?
Yeah, I don't think he's great yet. I think he's. Yeah, I did realize that because I love the way he carries himself. I like his moxie. I like his confidence. I wish he wasn't, however tall he is, I wish he was as tall as your quarterback, but he's not. So, Mad Dog maximizes his talents, and that's all you can ask out of any player.
Cool, that's it for Zoom. Anything back in the room?
You mentioned don't have to worry about being afraid of the moment. There's a lot of talk about just the underdog role, and Spencer, said, "Hey, count us out. That's fine." I mean, I know the guy's been gone for a couple of days, whatever, but I mean, that is something this program's been built on. From your perspective, do you get a sense that this group's ready to kind of prove some people wrong?
I think they're ready to go out and do their best, and that's all we can ask. And that's, Coach Danielson says it all the time is, we can't ask for more than your best, but we need your best. And that's just been, that's a good way to look at it. And I think our guys have a good feel for that.
Dirk, you took over 20 years ago as the head coach, and now you're going to get a coach in a college football playoff game here at Boise State. Like, how cool is it to see how far this program has come and to have a legit shot this year at winning a national championship for the first time? Yeah, no, it's very cool. And I've said to several of my friends, when I came here in 1998, I might have told you guys this story once, but I think I was staying at one of the roadway inns. I was in my little tiny office down there in the corner of the varsity center. It was snowing and raining outside, and there was people walking by on their way to a basketball game. And one of the players I inherited had
got caught stealing books from the bookstore that day. And I was thinking to myself, why did I leave Eugene, Oregon to come to this? And that press box wasn't there. This theater wasn't here. That indoor wasn't there. Boise State was probably averaging about 19,000 fans a game. And it is really, I'm very proud of where this program has gone, and how we've been able to keep the chain of coaches and the way, the culture in this program, where it's gone from that second year, 1999, to 2024, and to be in this playoff, I think just speaks volumes about the administration here, the fans here, the players here, and the coaches here, and it's really cool to see. I'm very proud of it.
In '07, Jared Zabransky said that they deserved a shot at a national championship game. Are you glad that there's finally a true playoff format where you do have a shot?
Yeah, very much. Yeah, very much. I think college football has a lot of problems right now, but the best thing they got going is this playoff. I think that's a huge. I mean, they're going to change the way they seed the teams, and maybe how they pick the teams and all that. But the fact that it's a tournament right now, and somebody's going to come out proving it on the field as a national champion, and the 13th, the 14th, 15th teams, they can argue all they want, but whoever wins this thing by winning 3 or 4 in a row to get there, that's big time, and I think it's awesome for the sport.